Hey guys, welcome back to Caden's Corner. The NBA season starts tomorrow and man am I excited. But let's start with what happened in this uneventful offseason. There weren't any huge free agents that left their team this offseason. Bradley Beal re-signed with the Wizards and DeAndre Ayton re-signed with the Suns. In terms of trades though, the Jazz blew everything up, trading away Donovan Mitchell to the Cavaliers and sending Rudy Gobert to the Timberwolves. But Cuckoo Land was in the center of the offseason drama. Kyrie Irving opted into the final year of his contract. A few days later, Kevin Durant requested a trade out of Brooklyn. Rumors went around the league why KD would request this trade behind Kyrie's back. The Nets wanted an arm and a leg for KD and no team was willing to give that up. After a few weeks, KD shocked everybody again, announcing that he wanted to stay in Brooklyn. But nobody's been able to figure out that mess up there the last few seasons. I'm finally excited to see Kawhi Leonard, Jamal Murray, and Zion play again. All three of those guys have been battling injuries and are finally healthy. This year in the NBA, the skill gap between the elite teams and the mediocre teams are going to be more obvious than ever. But these bad teams are going to be tanking for one of the best prospects ever, Victor Wembanyama. He's been all over the media recently as he is a 7'4" big with a great handle, is a sharpshooter, and can defend the rim at an elite level. He alone will cause a significant amount of tanking across the league. But let's hop into my predictions for this season and how I think these teams will finish. In the East, these are the teams that will miss the playoffs and be in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. Won't spend too much time on these teams, but in the 15th seed I have the Pacers going 20-62. The 14th seed I have the Wizards going 23-59. At 13, the Magic going 25-57, and then at 12, I have the Pistons going 32-50, and then just missing the play-in, the Hornets going 35-47. Just making the play-in tournament at 10, I have the Hawks. This offseason, they traded for DeJounte Murray, taking some pressure off of Trae, giving him another ball handler and decision maker on the floor. But overall, this team doesn't have the depth or firepower to contend with these juggernauts in the East. I have them finishing with a record of 41-41. In the 9th seed, I have the Knicks. This offseason, they picked up Jalen Brunson, and in my opinion, they overpaid him. I think the Knicks can't get over the hump until they get a real superstar. We haven't seen Randall be consistent enough to be the number one guy, but RJ Barrett has gotten better each year, averaging 20 points per game last season. I have the Knicks finishing the season with a record of 42-40. In the 8th seed, I have the Chicago Bulls. Lonzo is set to miss the first few months of the season, so Ayo Dosunmu will be the starting point guard. This team didn't get better this offseason, so I don't see them making a jump from last year. I think they finish 43-39. The Nets are such a complicated team. They have two of the best scorers in the league, and everyone knows how dangerous they can be. They get back Joe Harris and Ben Simmons from injury, which will be big for them defensively. But the Nets' biggest problem in the postseason was their interior defense. I'm not sold on this overreaction of how good the Nets will be this year. I think they finished the record of 45-37, finishing 7th in the East. The Raptors are a team that if they make the postseason will always have a chance at a title. This is because of the championship DNA Nick Nurse has installed in his players. But the guy I am most excited about is Scotty Barnes. I think he will be in contention for the most improved player and will emerge as one of the best two-way scorers in the league. Not to mention, if Gary Trent can get back to his old self, this team will be very scary. I think they go 46-36, finishing 6th in the East. The Cavaliers are a team that I think will surprise a lot of people with how good they are. They made a blockbuster trade with the Jazz, acquiring Spida Mitchell to pair with Darius Garland in the backcourt. I think the Cavs would have made it even further last season if they were fully healthy. I think this team is going to finish 47-35, 5th in the East. The 76ers were very unlucky at the end of last season with Embiid's orbital fracture, but this team is going to be very good this year. Maxey looked amazing in the playoffs last season and is poised to replicate that this season. I also love the addition in the gritty veteran PJ Tucker. Their bench scoring scares me come playoff time, but I think this team can be a top 4 seed in the East, ending 48-34. The Heat the last few seasons have come so close to winning a title, and last season came one shot away from making it to the finals. They didn't do much this offseason, but they are finally healthy, which is huge for them. Lowry and Oladipo were banged up for most of the postseason and will give them a huge boost. I think the Heat will be the same pesky team that no one will want to face come playoff time. I have the Heat cracking the top 3 teams in the East. The Bucks are another team that were plagued with injuries that ultimately cut their season short. The loss of Middleton showed to be huge as they lost to the Celtics in the semifinals. Giannis will put up another MVP caliber season and lead the Bucks to the 2nd seed in the East with a record of 51-31. The team that I think that will be at the top of the East are the Boston Celtics. The Celtics came 2 games away from winning the title after their miraculous mid-season turnaround. Their offseason started off amazing after they traded for Malcolm Brogdon, but the road has gotten a little bumpy after their defensive gem Robert Williams will miss the first few weeks of the season rehabbing a knee surgery, not to mention the season-long suspension of head coach Ime Udoka. The Celtics are still in a prime position to repeat and bounce back from a lackluster performance in the finals. I think that Tatum will have a huge bounce-back year after the finger has been pointed at him all offseason. I think the Celtics will start slow due to the absence of Robert Williams and adapting to the new head coach, but I think they will finish the season 53-29. Into the West we go, where we will start with the teams missing the playoffs also participating in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. The Spurs I have at the bottom of the West finishing 19 and 23, the Jazz in the 14th seed with a record of 23 and 59, the Thunder at 13 finishing with a record of 24 and 58, the Rockets in the 12th seed at 26 and 56, and just missing the play-in, the Trailblazers with a record of 31 and 51. The Kings have been a bad basketball team for a while, but I think that they are on the right path to getting better. I think Keegan Murray will have a solid rookie season and the Kings will sneak into the play-in game at 36 and 46. The Lakers are a team that are in big trouble this season. They weren't able to deal Russ, so they have to continue to pay him $50 million. AD is finally healthy, but we can't rely on him to stay healthy, and LeBron is entering his 20th season. I think this is the first season where we will see LeBron begin to slow down due to the major load he will be forced to carry. In the 8th seed, I have the Pelicans. They extended CJ McCollum after his impressive performance in the postseason. They also have Zion finally healthy after giving him a max contract this offseason. I think if Zion and this core can stay healthy, the Pelicans have the potential to be a playoff team. I have them finishing with a record of 42 and 40. The Mavericks, I think, will have a disappointing season for the MVP stats that Luka will put up. They lost their second best scorer, Jalen Brunson, in free agency. I think this team needs to get Luka some help, but with the guys that have been there for a few years, I think they can make the playoffs, finishing their season 44 and 38. The Timberwolves, on the other hand, are a team that I am very excited for. They traded for Rudy Gobert, which a lot of people questioned considering they already had Karl Anthony Towns. I think that Anthony Edwards will have a monster season, becoming a top 15 player in the NBA. I think this Timberwolves team will be the number 6 seed with a record of 45 and 37. The Suns are a team that I think will disappoint this season. The West is loaded this year, and I don't think they'll be a top 4 seed. Chris Paul is aging, and they didn't make this roster better this offseason. This team is built for regular season success like we see every year, just to fizzle out in the playoffs. I think they come close to 50 wins, but ultimately go 47 and 35. Cracking the top 4, I have the Grizzlies. This team has one of the best young cores in the NBA with Ja, Desmond Bane, Dillon Brooks, and Jaren Jackson. I think Ja will have a big season this year, solidifying himself as a top 15 player in the league. If Ja can stay healthy come postseason time, this team can do some damage in the playoffs. I have them finishing with a record of 50 and 32. The Nuggets are finally healthy. We haven't seen Jamal Murray play basketball in a year and a half, and Michael Porter Jr. was injured throughout the majority of last season. But Jokic has held it down for the Nuggets, winning back-to-back MVPs and carrying this team to the playoffs. But he finally has help, and the Nuggets are going to be scary this season. If the Nuggets get the Jamal Murray that balled out in the bubble, this is my sleeper to win the West. I think the Nuggets will finish third in the West, going 53 and 29. The Warriors, fresh off their title last season, look even better this year. Steph had a historic year last season. He won his 4th NBA title, tying LeBron, won his first Finals MVP, and passed Ray Allen for the most three-pointers in NBA history. This Warriors team will be right back in contention this season. The former second overall pick, James Wiseman, is returning from his injury last season. The Warriors added sharpshooter Dante DiVincenzo in free agency, adding to this team's depth. The Warriors will be a force come playoff time, and I think they will be the second team in the West, going 59 and 23. The West is going to be incredibly competitive this year. The league has forgotten about a man who has always flown under the radar, Kawhi Leonard. Along with John Wall, this is the team to beat in the West. They are the most deep team in the league, and I think Ty Lue will win the Coach of the Year this season. The Clippers will finish with the best record in the NBA, going 61 and 21. Let's hop into some of my award predictions for this year, and let's start with the Rookie of the Year. Paolo Banchero is the overwhelming favorite to win this award after the injury to Chet, but I think that Jabari Smith is going to win this award. This 19-year-old is 6'11" and has elite scoring. I think he will blossom into a star for the Houston Rockets. Let's hop into the Defensive Player of the Year award. This player was top 5 in DPOY voting before his injury, but if Robert Williams can stay healthy this season, I think he'll win this award. He's one of the pillars of the Celtics defense that has been one of the best in the league. To the award that everybody has been waiting for, the MVP. There are 2 young guys that I think will take massive steps at winning this award, Jason Tatum and Luka Doncic. But I think that Kawhi Leonard is going to shock everybody and win this award. His story of returning from his ACL injury will be great, and he will be leading the number 1 team in the West. All of this is why I think he will win his first ever league MVP. Let's talk about the team that I think is going to win the whole thing. Legitimately, there are 5 teams that I think that have a chance to win the whole thing. That's the Bucks, Clippers, Celtics, Warriors, and Nuggets. But let's start in the West. I think that the Clippers and Warriors will have an epic clash in the Western Conference Finals, going 7 games. I think that the Clippers will advance and play the Celtics in the finals. The Celtics and Jason Tatum underperformed in the finals last season, choking a 2-1 lead. For Tatum, things are going to be different this year, and he's going to win his first ever NBA title and Finals MVP. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.